Welcome to the Digital Nomads Podcast. We're here to give you the latest insights on everything digital from inside the agency.
Thanks for joining us again. We are going to be talking about choosing an SEO agency today.
Yeah.
Talking about a few different things. We'll talk about costings, expertise, how and when, yeah. How to make the right decision, who to choose. And yeah, kind of break it down. It'd be cool to just give out that insight to people. We see a lot of clients come to us from other agencies.
Yeah.
And a lot of them do seem to come across with similar feedback.
Yeah, we do hear that.
So actually going into the feedback that we hear and giving recommendations, please note this is not a sales podcast. We are not here to sell you SEO services. While we do as an agency offer, it is more about just giving you the tools of making the right choice for your business. That's kind of the gist of it. So it's like a pre-podcast disclaimer.
Yeah.
But yeah, the idea is to be able to just give some insight and go, this is what we recommend. There are some fantastic SEO agencies in Australia.
Yeah.
And there is some questionable.
Not so good.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that's okay. You get the same in all industries. So how can we mitigate that? What are the questions that you ask? What are the things that you should look for? And then, go from there.
Yeah.
Let's start on some of the key things that you should look at when choosing an agency, and then we'll go into when you should choose an agency later. But yeah, what would be give me off the top, something that you would recommend asking when you're going into an agency, or what would you recommend to look for?
Look at the agency's rankings.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
Proof's in the pudding.
Yeah. That is
that's a big one.
That is interesting, yeah. And if you can't do that and you don't have the expertise to do that, there is a bunch of tools online. You can use like Ubersuggest, and then even SEMrush have a free trial.
Yeah.
And chuck in a couple of agencies and see their organic traffic and see how much they're generating. I think it's a good insight. I've seen some agencies. We'll talk Australia. We're in Australia, obviously.
Yeah.
We've got some agencies that are generating organically 10,000 traffic a month, which would be considered very good in the industry. That would be in the top couple of percent in Australia.
Yeah.
And then there's some that are SEO agencies and they're generating like 100.
Yeah.
It's a very different number. So, yeah, I think, as you said, proof in the pudding a little bit on that one.
Yeah. I think you need to, obviously, when you're investing in your business, which is, for a lot of people, their livelihood, you want to do your due diligence.
Yeah.
If you're investing, you want to make sure that the people that you're investing in, as in the agency that you work with, are invested in you and your business.
Yeah.
You can look at that by seeing how hard they work at investing in their own business. So if they do well organically and their SEO is good and they have provided results for themselves and for other clients that they've had, then they could potentially do that for you.
Yeah.
I wouldn't trust an agency that doesn't do well themselves to be able to provide for a business that's going to put food on the table for my family.
Yeah. Yeah. I back that.
Yeah.
Back that. And I think what you were talking takes us straight into the next thing to also to look at is you mentioned, do it well for themselves and do it well for others. So that is the other is to case studies.
Yeah.
Testimonials. Case studies are important. If you can fact check them as well, do, as I said, check their results, check their rankings. But if you can check the case studies that they're saying, they've worked on X, Y, Z, actually being able to go and look at those numbers because anyone can put data onto a page and
some of those numbers are quite big. I think Neil Patel said this, didn't he?
It's very easy to manipulate.
5,000% ROI.
Yeah, it can be quite quick to manipulate. If you go from 0 to 10, that's a big increase, right?
Yeah.
If you go 1 to 10, that's a big increase. It's the same thing. You've 10-folded your traffic from 1 traffic to 10 traffic.
Yeah.
But, there's more value going from 100 traffic to 200 traffic, even though it's only a 2-fold versus a 10-fold. So having baseline and really being able to understand those case studies is also important. Having a look at that, having a look at the results that they're generating for other for other clients.
Yeah.
And then my segue on that would be, depending on the industry that you're in, is to see proof within that industry for yourself as well. So, if you're in finance, look for somebody, have they worked in finance before? If you're in medical or if you're in health, equally the same. There's a lot of compliance with APRA compliance and things like that. Like, is the agency aware of those sort of nuances to your industry?
Yeah.
Because that's a factor, and it's a big thing that's going to come up.
Yeah.
That you're going to have to work around, or they're going to have to learn and adopt if they've not done it before.
Yeah.
So finding somebody that is not necessarily niched in your industry, but just knows about your industry or can work within your industry and has to success is key.
Yeah.
The better those success numbers, the better the result, I would suppose. So,
and then being transparent about that too, being able to like talk to you about it, talk you through that.
Yeah.
Like you said, anybody can put anything on a website.
Yeah.
Ask them about it.
Yeah.
Have a discussion. You should be able to go in and sit and have a coffee with your agency, or have a video chat with them and have a discussion about their past results and really go through those.
Yeah.
Because again, you're investing. It's a big investment.
Yeah. It can be a lot of money. So, I think case studies is a good one. And I think, when we mentioned testimonials in that. So I always say, look at the good, look at the bad. You've got to look at the good, but equally try and find the bad ones to see if there is some sort of feedback. Again, it's hard to get reviews, but it can be quite easy to get reviews as well. So you want to look and do a little bit of deep diving into some of the things that are maybe common factors. If they've got 200 reviews, looks amazing. But if they've got 20 of those that are all saying something about communication standards, then there might be a problem about communication standards.
Yeah.
So you might want to know what those things are sooner rather than finding out later.
Yeah.
So, so that's kind of some of the key things. I think there is some other recommendations we always look at as well, is just understanding, contractual lengths. That's something that we see a lot.
Yeah.
We have a lot of people that are, go to an agency and are struggling with this kind of like lack of transparency or lack of communication and not hearing from their account managers, or
they get a report that they don't understand, and
those sort of things.
Yeah.
And then the problem that they have is that, they're in then this agreement of, they're like, okay, we want out because these guys aren't kind of hitting the mark for us.
Yeah.
They will approach, whether it's us or another agency we anticipate would be, seeing the same thing, and then finding out that they're in a 2 or 3 year contract.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
Yeah. I can't understand how you do a 2 year.
I can't understand how you do it. We had one the other day. It was a 3 year contract that they were in. I'm like, how do you
that's a big investment.
That's like a car.
Yeah. Yeah. An expensive one.
That's a lot. That's a lot. So I think looking at if people are putting you into contracts, really understanding, one, do you need to be in a contract? And there's a lot of agencies out there now that can still facilitate the work in a month-to-month rotation. We work on month-to-month here. We're not working on a contract or a binding contract. It doesn't mean you get results within a month. It just means that you're not locked in to a 3 year contract of where, business ebbs and flows, and you've got to be in a position of where you're not financially viable for this sort of contract. So it's about risk, and that's something you definitely want to have good understanding of what you're signing up to prior to the engagement.
If you're signing a contract for a 1, 2, or 3 year SEO deal, I'd want guarantees with that.
Yeah, I don't think I'd personally sign anything more than a year anyway. No. But that's definitely a big one that we see common. So
and it is common,
really common.
Yeah.
Yep. So contracts is one. Case studies, testimonials. Make sure you look at that. And I think one of the biggest final pieces on this is the actual delivery of the service itself. And when I say that, I mean by who's doing it.
Yeah.
SEO is a very hard service to deliver now. It's changed over the course of the last 3-4 years, probably more than ever.
Yeah.
And it requires a lot of expertise, right? It requires potential development, designers, UX, experience, copywriters, technical SEO, on-page SEO, off-page SEO, link building, citations. I could rattle.
Even social now.
Exactly, even social.
Yeah.
Which often means that agencies will outsource the work,
Yeah.
which means that the work isn't actually being facilitated by the agency or the organization. I would check that personally prior to, again, the engagement, who's working on my account, who, what's their expertise?
Yeah.
What have they done? Because when you sign to an agency, you don't sign to an agency necessarily, you sign to an individual.
Yeah.
You get appointed an account manager. They're the ones that are ultimately responsible to get you the result to a degree. Like there can be frameworks within the agency of, do X, Y, Z, and we know that it's going to get a result. But you need to know the experts that are working on the account, not the agency.
Yeah. You should be able to have a discussion with those people too.
Yeah. Direct contact with them.
Direct contact with them.
Yeah.
And before entering into any form of contract or agreement with a business,
Meet with them.
You should be able to talk to your account manager.
Yeah.
And talk to them and see how they connect with you and your business and understand you and your business.
Yeah.
Because that's important, because it's not just a case of doing content.
Yeah.
Putting something on the page, developing X, Y, or Z. They are delivering what's the front of your business.
Yeah.
So many of your customers that read the content on your website, that's the first point of contact.
They're representing you.
Representing your business, yeah.
Exactly.
So they need to understand you. They need to understand your business and what it stands for. Yeah. So it's very important to have a relationship with that person or that team that you work with.
Yeah, definitely. And it's interesting as well because I was talking with a friend the other day about this actually, and they work with a large national company and they work with quite a large international SEO organization as well. And they were telling me how they've been through, I think it was 4 or 5 account managers in less than 2 years.
Wow.
And the communication that takes to re-upskill your new account manager into your business, your language, and what works, what doesn't. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. So as much as that's great that they've got direct contact to the account manager, how long has your account manager been with the agency? Are they going to be sticking around? Are they going to be leaving? I know that these are really interesting questions to ask potentially an agency, but having an understanding of that is equally as important. You sign with, I love this person. This person's going to be great. They connected with me. They're great with the business.
Yeah.
You sign on for a 12, 24-month contract and next month they've gone.
Yeah. And who's filling that seat?
Who's filling the seat? Who are you now being, lumped with or whatever? You don't know. Hearing that, within 2 years, having 5 account managers and you're just spending time continually upskilling them into your business and the way that you're, how you communicate, your tone, your primary recommendations, your services, what you're trying to promote. And every 3-6 months, you're having to go through that again in communication and probably being billed for that communication as well.
It's a lot of time and effort.
It is. Yeah. It is. So, understanding who you're working with is key and their background and their expertise and is a big part.
Yeah.
You got anything else on that one?
I think we covered everything there.
Yeah, that's good. And we'll leave it at that for today. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for listening. Stay tuned for our next episode.